In terms of understanding self and others, we can use multiple intelligences theory, and there are 9 multiple intelligences, as we've seen. All of these come together to help the reflective practitioner reflect and develop their reflection skills. What we need to do is consider each of these multiple intelligences in a little bit more detail and how they are translated into reflection for the reflective practitioner. So what we can do is actually look at the 9 intelligences from the reflective practice point of view, and we can also diagram this for ourselves as well. What we can see is that for the reflective practitioner, MI theory can be broken into 3 areas: the analytic component of reflection, the interactive component of reflection, and the introspective component of reflection. In terms of analysis, therefore, the reflective practitioner, something the reflective practitioner engages with all the time, then the intelligences which are based in logical and rhythmic and naturalistic learning become very, very useful. Where the reflective practitioner is being more introspective, or in other words, thinking about the experience, reflecting on the experience, then the intrapersonal, existential and visual components of MI theory become very, very useful. And what the reflective practitioner can apply from MI theory in terms of how they action their reflection are based in linguistic, interpersonal and the kinesthetic modes of learning. So what we need to do is consider how each of these help the reflective practitioner develop their professional identity. The visual spatial component is about learning visually and organizing ideas visually, spatially, seeing what concepts come together in action and how we understand them. This might be translated into diagrams, for example, in a learning journal. It's the ability to see things very clearly, to get a picture of things in the mind. How are things working out? The verbal linguistic intelligence is translated for the reflective practitioner into perhaps a dialogue with a mentor or with a colleague, or it could be about gathering feedback from students that you're teaching. The mathematical, logical learning part of MI theory can be used by the reflective practitioner in terms of how they think about sequences and the logic of what's actually happening in the lesson. For example, the pacing of activities throughout the lesson is something where the logical and mathematical component becomes very, very valuable. Body kinesthetic, this is very much based in the action component of the reflective practitioner, and this is learning by doing and the actions which are taking place. It's if we think about Kolb's learning theory, it's very much based in concrete experience, and this gets reflected on in the descriptive component, say in a reflective journal. The musical rhythmic intelligence can be used by the reflective practitioner in terms of how the teacher is using the information being gained auditorily. It's very much based in patterns and rhythms, and therefore about the interactions that the teacher is having with the students. The intrapersonal, this is part of introspection for the reflective practitioner. It's very much about looking at values, looking at feelings, looking at beliefs and assumptions about the roles that the individual has in the classroom. And then, of course, the interpersonal multiple intelligence. This is not about just talking with fellow colleagues. It's very much about interacting with others on a professional level. and the naturalistic multiple intelligence. This is about categorizations and classifications of knowledge, how we package knowledge, meaning into meaningful wholes for ourselves. Existential intelligence. For the reflective practitioner, this is very important because this really looks at the big picture. Or in other words, it brings all of the other learning together from the other intelligences that we can bring to bear to the practice, and therefore helps us understand things from a much bigger, much broader perspective. And so multiple intelligence theory is very useful. And in particular, the existential intelligence helps us make connections with the real world of teaching for ourselves and helps us develop our professional identity.